All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Gonna be touching on round 4 of the Arnold Invitational, giving you guys the showdown picks, the prop bets, and any matchup bets that I like as well. But first, let's get into a quick recap from yesterday. So yesterday was a very good day prop betting wise. Ended up going 4 for 4. We saw that the underdog board was really giving us some very big edges compared to how the data saw it, and we were able to take advantage of this. So this is one of the prop bets that we had, and this was the other one that we had. So it was strange. It seemed like underdog was overcompensating for the wind. Like, it was only projected to be 17-mile sustained winds yesterday, with gusts that were going to be pretty high. But I've done a bunch of measurements for data and whatnot. Pretty much when the wind gets over 50-mile-per-hour, it is going to really change how the course does play. But it's really when it gets over 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds that it drastically changes how the course is going to play. And we just didn't see that today. Today. And it was just strange, the lines that we were getting. Now, I will say, we have seen underdog adjust for that by not putting out more. Oh, look at that. Fantasy score prop bets just popped in there, but they are definitely being slower to add in props. So I'll actually touch on this at the end of the video since they just add that in there. But let's just talk about how it's going for DFS purpose. So looking at ownership here, we are seeing Scotty, who is high owned as he should have been, doing pretty well. I will say, I'm going to say this one more time, okay? I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this one, but the Mingwu Lee chalk was just strange, okay? It was one that didn't make sense. He was a play that popped up on the ownership tab as being overowned, on the ownership leverage tab as being overowned. That's been one of the most successful tools, maybe my best tool, honestly. And people just continued to, and I'm fine with it, but people don't take advantage of that enough. It's kind of strange there. And really, he's a play that really shouldn't have been standing out. Like I talked about this during the week. Like Harris English was really the clear-cut value play in terms of pricing that people should have been going out of their way to roster. Not as high owned, not that chalk. You look at some of the other value plays that were either just as good or better than Mingwu Lee, Grillo, Andrew Putnam, Taylor Moore, EVR. Some of those are doing about the same. Some of them are doing better. It was just strange that he was chalked, that people were like, yes, I need to play this guy. So I don't know, it's just strange, but that just tells us that there is an edge really in fantasy golf. But looking at the ownership as a whole, somewhat doing well, somewhat not doing well. I will say Rory doing that well in round 4, a little bit shocking, but I'll see if he does well again. He had a very good round 3. It'd be very shocking to see him do that again in round 4, but you never know. Sam Burns, man, he had so many strokes with his putter where it's so close to dropping. There's 2 putts in a row where so close to putting. I kind of tweeted out and jokingly saying that, oh man, watching Scotty's really been in the first 2 rounds really has been wearing off on Sam Burns here. So he's someone that I do expect to putt better in round 4, but he's really the only outright bet that I could see potentially winning, just because he has left so many strokes out there the past few days. But it does almost feel like a 3-man race to me. I mean, Scotty and really just Clark, I would kind of think one of those 2 are going to win, but based off of how the season has gone, we don't really know for sure. But let's actually just take a peek at the showdown picks so we can get a better indication of who's expected to play well in round 4. Now, round 4 to me is the most difficult to predict because finishing position goes into it, and sometimes there's just some randomness that goes into that. And so it makes sense why Scotty's going to be popping up in there, but Hideki, I don't mind that, fourth place. So he already has those position points. I don't mind that. Henley 4th, Clark 3rd. I'm perfectly fine with that. But where it starts to get interesting is that the data is valuing JT as a better play than Shane Lowry. Tom Hoagie as just as good of a play as Shane Lowry. So that can be where we really gain an edge. But again, guys, this is the most random of the rounds. Round 2, very sustainable profit. Round 2 is just great. Typically speaking, round 3, a little bit more random as well. And then round 4, pretty darn random. And so, especially with, less players in the field, it's just not one that I typically like to target too much. So I don't love much of this. We'll take a peek at a little bit of the strokes gain stats as well, seeing if you guys can get any indication of who you want to be on. I actually want to look at strokes gain total as a whole instead of looking at putting, because again, I don't particularly care to look at that too much. So players that probably will play better tomorrow: EVR, Xander, Jordan. I mean, Xander, Jordan had terrible rounds. Players that might play worse: Rory, Sanjay. I don't really care to look at this stuff for round 4 purposes, because it's more, all right, these guys are playing well this week for the most part. What can they do for me in round 4? So let's just jump into the lineup optimizer. All right, so getting into lineup builder, we are going to sort by value right now. Andrew Putnam's actually the best value play for round 4. That makes sense. Pricing wise, he is someone that has played well thus far this season. I actually don't mind that. Lee Hodges is not playing terribly as well. You know, I'm perfectly fine getting to those value plays. I probably don't want to be on Lee Hodges too much, maybe 25% max exposure. Andrew Putnam, I'm actually fine if we get 40% there. Hideki is kind of interesting there. Like, is he going to keep it up? I don't know if we exactly need to get there in terms of like who we're going out of our way to target. Obviously, Scotty, I like Sam Burns. I'm definitely okay with that. Yeah, I think I'm going to max Hideki at 30%. He's like the only play here where I'm a little bit iffy about. But after that, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So let's go ahead and generate this. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward here. So Sam Burns, Homa, maybe a little bit too much Homa. Again, I think I'm okay getting to that much Putnam. Good, we are getting to 40% of Scotty. The one play I might bump in there is Harris English, because I do think he's a good play, and maybe a little bit more of Eric Cole. You know, bump him up fantasy points, maybe like 1 or 2, just to get a little bit more exposure to them. But that's really the only differences that I would do. So with that, let's go and get into the matchup bets for round 4. So right now we got Xander over Mingwoo Lee as one of the better matchup bets. And just as an FYI, guys, yesterday was it was a push, I believe, for the matchup bets. 2 hits, 1 was a push, 1 missed, which is okay. Obviously, we've been profitable on the week thus far. Not every day is going to be a profitable day, but still, push day, we'll take that. But looking at right now, Xander over Mingwoo Lee, that makes sense. Scotty over Shane Lowry, that makes sense. In terms of maybe the best payout, Aubert over Keegan. Pavon keeps popping up. I just don't agree with that. Jake Knapp, I don't. Maybe Jake Knapp over Nick Dunlap pays out 2.1 to 1. I don't mind that. That's okay. I don't know. I don't have any conviction here really at all. It's round 4 again. I feel like this is the most random round. If you guys like any of these, obviously the data likes Xander the most. By all means, go for that. Let's go and jump on in now to the prop pick. So as it sits right now, I just want to call it that we are not getting any prize picks for PGA. It's just that's the nature of the beast, I guess, is that prize picks comes out with theirs much later. And so once the data updates on the 9 to 5 cheat sheet, head on over in there and you guys will be able to see if we are gaining a distinct advantage on one side or the other. So right now, this is crazy, right? So yesterday we saw a lot of the fantasy score prop bets were favoring the over. And so for round 4, it's now favoring the under. And I do think that round 4, they're probably at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, they're probably going to try to make it play a little bit more difficult than it had yesterday. Or today, depending on when you guys are watching this. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with these under bets. So Jordan under fantasy points, and oh man, I don't want to do Sam Burns under fantasy. The bias in me there. Jeez, I guess. I mean, the day is telling us. JT. I actually probably like JT under fantasy points a little bit better. But yeah, the day is really saying under fantasy score for a lot of these guys is the way to go. I think so bad the day for underdog. JT under fantasy points, Jordan under fantasy. I don't love that, but the data really likes all the under fantasy scores. So kind of interesting there. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. Hit that notification bell as well so you're not missing out on any of this great coverage. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck for the main slate as well. If you guys want access to the cheat sheet, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.